Hello and welcome back to the Mind and Money podcast. I'm Sherry, a financial coach.
And I'm Val, a financial planner. And today we're talking about a topic that comes up all the time with money, all the time. It is the S word, which is shame. And we want to talk about it in a way that what we're seeing with clients, how we coach them through it, and talking also a bit about how shame keeps us stuck. It keeps us either in the same place or it keeps us getting worse, going into a worse situation.
Preach.
So this is coming up. It's coming up a lot. Typically with money, there is a lot of shame. Whether you have a lot, you don't have a lot, you're middle of the road, very often the topic comes up as shameful because money was such a taboo topic. It wasn't talked about for years and years and years. It was kept quiet. It was rude to ask about it. So it's very similar to our mental health. Like it was kept in the dark. So now that we're bringing it into the light, we have a lot of these like scary, icky emotions attached to it. And we want to talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I am noticing with the clients and potential clients that I meet with is there's a trend towards much more awareness around feeling money shames. I started my business in 2018, and at that time, there was a lot of people, those conversations indicated to me that they felt a lot of shame around their money, but they weren't using that word a lot. And now I'm hearing it a lot. So when somebody books a free consultation with me to talk about the opportunity of coaching, I ask a lot of questions around, how you're currently thinking and feeling about your money. And the word shame is there almost all of the time. And sometimes there's even things like, I run a business and I have this much in revenue and I manage that budget, or I work for a large corporation and I manage the budget for my department, but I can't manage my money successfully. And that often brings up shame. And
because it's almost like this feeling of what's wrong with me? Like I can do it over here. Why can't I do it over here? I can cook a really great meal at my work as a chef, but when I go home, I want to make fucking craft dinner.
Yep. And I think that's what is breeding the shame is I should be able to, like, I am a fucking grown ass adult. I should be able to pay attention to my money and not spend as much and know where my money is going. With a lot of the clients that I work with, they are high income earners. Some of them bringing take home upwards of $10,000 a month. And when they continue to see their debt grow and increase, like they know that they're spending more than they make, but they just don't know what to do about it. One of the biggest complaints that I hear too, especially from my high income earner clients, is that I should make enough money to be able to ABC, put my plan together for my money, and I should have $1,000 left over every month, but I'm not seeing it, or I make too much money to feel this broke.
This happens in so many aspects of our lives as humans. We hold this, I know better, I should know better, I should do better. And then when we don't, we beat ourselves up. We are not kind to ourselves. We just belittle ourselves and we keep ourselves in that shame space. So then going to ask for help has so much more of a weight attached to it. There's so much more embarrassment, the vulnerability to ask for help and to show up and to share your numbers. It's a big hurdle.
Yeah. I almost think too that there is more stigma around working with a financial professional to develop better systems to manage your money on the day-to-day than there is even going to therapy. I know, like,
definitely
people are talking about
therapy becoming accepted, as it should have always been.
But yeah, asking for help for your money is there's more taboo around it because of the shame. And I think more people are starting to talk about money than ever before, but there's still, like, if you were raised in households where you didn't talk about money, or anytime there was conversations around money, it was, we can't afford it, we can't do that. Like, your parents or the adults in your life being stressed about money, it can lead to more of those feelings of shame. If you Google how to start a budget, how to spend less money, you are going to get an overwhelming overwhelming number of results.
You might also come across experts that use shame and tough love, like not our style, as kind of like their motivator, I suppose. For some people, it works. But I cringe a little bit because I'm like, that would just put the turtle right back in the shell for me.
Yep. Yeah. And there's a million different ways to manage your money. And a lot of the advice that's out there is targeted at the neurotypicals who have an easier time. It's not easy, but, following rules, implementing plans, remembering to do shit versus like the things that I do with my money. It's a little ridiculous when you look at the grand scheme of things, but it works for me.
I think social media too plays a big part in fertilizing the shame because we see what other people are doing and then we go, why can't I do that? They have that. Why can't I do that? Like we're in this comparison mode, but we're in such different boats. You have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. We get to, which is very cool. But a lot of the times you just see the pretty picture.
Yeah.
There's a hole in the wall behind it.
Pretty house, pretty new car.
Yes.
Means big mortgage payment, probably a car payment. And a lot of those times, people that have homes and, lives from the outside that look like they're doing great, a lot of times they're very stressed financially. And those payments are strapping them and, maybe keeping them in jobs that they don't love or pushing to do things that don't align with their values to get that bonus or to grow their business. And
you don't know the full story.
No.
And when you feel that feeling of jealousy or comparison, you have to remind yourself, yes, you don't know the full story. And also, if you think you know their life so perfectly, do you want everything? Do you want everything that they have? Probably not.
Yeah.
You might be jealous of the trip they went on, but do you want their husband? Do you want their, no, you don't. You have to just take yourself out of that place. So with the shame, what are we doing with the shame?
Well, we're not using it to avoid our numbers because here's the cycle that happens. If you feel money shame because of debt or overspending or you don't have enough saved, okay, first, those charts on social media that say by the time you're 30, you should have this saved. By the time you're 40, you should have 1 year's salary saved. Screw those charts.
Rules of thumb don't work for everyone.
Those charts.
They don't work for anyone.
Yeah, somebody making that chart doesn't know their life. It's a generalization. Maybe you had kids early and that delayed you going to college, or maybe you didn't go to college or university, which is completely fine. I didn't. And it allows you to try and shove yourself in a box. And
when you don't fit.
You don't fit. So you are an individual. Where you are financially is an individual to you too. So think about peeling back the layers. I know it's scary as fuck, but the best way, this is so cheesy and I'm sorry, the best way to get past the shame is to go through it.
I can't go under it. I can't go over it. I have to go through it. There's something like that. We must go through it. Yes.
So how do you, when you are feeling shame and probably overwhelm and stress and anxiety and all those things that go with it, where do you start?
It's like any emotion that we don't want to feel that's uncomfortable. We want to distract. We want to escape. So be aware of what your typical tendencies are. Is it to change the topic? Is it to not log into your banking? Is it to go spend something? Is it to go on social media and doom scroll? Because I'm not attaching shame to those. I use those same coping mechanisms to distract. So setting aside time, intentional time, and giving yourself a little mantra or intention before of saying, okay, buddy, we're going into this together. We're going to look at our numbers together and it's going to be okay.
Yep.
Right?
Because what I see quite often when I start working with a new client, and we dive all the way in right off the bat. So when I start working with a new client, prior to that first official session that we have together, there is some homework. And basically the homework is dump all of your financial information into this file. And then we take that and we build your plan. And what I hear from a lot of clients, even before we actually get into that first session, we've just hopped on. And often clients will say, I feel better even just going through the process of filling out that prep work, because then they know, what debts do you owe? What are your monthly bills? What do they look like? That clarity comes during the session, but that weightlifting, because they know where they are right now, comes from, I'm very sorry, it's not fun, but like really diving into where you are right now from a place of, and I know it's hard to separate the emotions from the money because emotions and money are so closely attached, but
Twinsies.
it's like they're just numbers.
Yep. These are facts.
Yep.
And I think it's like a closet that's overflowing or really unorganized. We don't want to turn the light on. But when you turn the light on and you start going through stuff, especially when you have someone with you, whether typically I'm biased, but someone like Sherry or I with you makes a huge difference. If you try to do it alone or just with your spouse, sometimes having that third party that's in it with you, great buffer, great guide to have, like a professional organizer with the closet.
And shame grows when we're in avoidance mode and we build things up in our mind to be worse than they are. So say you've got this debt and you haven't looked at the balance in a while. You haven't been logging in online, and Canada Post has been doing us a solid and not sending us the statements. If you have been avoiding it, say, last time I looked, it was $10,000. And then you think, well, it's a high interest credit card, so it's probably at 15 now. What happens in a lot of cases is when you actually look, it's not as bad as you think it is. It's not as bad as you've built it up in your mind. So maybe it's at 12. And being at 12, yeah, it's still more than the 10, but it's not the 15 you thought it was. Knowing exactly where you are is freeing. It's not easy to pull back the layers, but
Yeah.
And don't think you need to spend hours and hours doing it. If how much time you think it's going to take is a barrier to getting started, set aside 15 minutes.
Yeah, start it in small chunks. Start small, start soon. When we have that shame, what are we saying in our minds? Is that the belief we want to hold? Like the client I met with, she's like, I'm not good with money. I know this. I suck. I know I'm the worst. And I had to pause and be like, is that the belief you want to have? Is that true about you? And no, it's not, but we're there bullying ourselves and making ourselves feel like shit in a vulnerable situation. Like, give yourself some grace, give yourself some space. You showed up. Part of that is having the right person that you're talking about it with, like the wrong spouse or the wrong friend.
The wrong spouse. No husband number one, goodbye. I'd like to bring in husband number two.
Yes, next. Or the wrong expert can make you feel really shitty about sharing. So then you're like, well, fuck it. I'm not doing show and tell anymore. I'm closing my closet door and it's only going to get worse because it's safe here because I'm not exposing myself.
And there's the gamut of, online financial experts, financial professionals that you can reach out to. If you're looking to have somebody help you, don't just jump into the first person. Find a person that gives you
good vibes. Good vibe.
Have a chat with them and ask them some questions and, poke through their theories. I love talking to people about their finances and why they're looking for help. Initially, that's one of my favorite questions to ask is like, why now? Why are you looking for help? It brings out some very interesting stories. Yeah. But also I love being challenged with questions around like, basically a lot of the questions are like, how is this working with you actually going to help me? Because we've tried so many other things before. And having those strategies, taking the millions, hundreds of options out there online and really filtering it down to having that conversation, understanding what's important to you, and then figuring out, what hasn't worked for you in the past, what things were the closest to working, and how do we put more of those in your life. And I think too, spending some time in a quiet spot, maybe you go to a coffee shop, maybe you're just sitting in your car somewhere with pen and paper and thinking about what is bringing up shame and then what evidence is there in my life of these things that I'm feeling shame for. Because a lot of times, maybe so if you're in debt, sometimes we did some stupid shit to get in debt. But what I hear from clients quite a bit is that life happened. Mm-hmm. They got in a car accident. They had to buy a new vehicle.
The furnace, the roof.
A lot of times the shame that we're dishing up to ourselves when we look for evidence around like why we feel that shame, it's not there. And even if it is there, even if you freaking went on all the shopping sprees, if you're ready for change now,
then let's be present with that.
Eyes forward, right? We can't change where we've been, but we can change where we're going. And it comes by peeling back the layers, like ripping off a band-aid, and really understanding why we're feeling that shame, because that allows us to start to break out of it.
Yeah. So I hope from this episode you gain that you're not alone. It's very, very, very common.
If you're working with a financial professional that makes you feel shame, please fucking run.
Run. Find someone who fits your vibe.
Especially that guy that you can phone into and he celebrates when you're debt-free. He is uber toxic. Yes, he's changed a lot of lives, but I also strongly believe that he is the reason a lot of people feel like shit, hate budgeting, think that they're never going to be capable of it because they've tried it his way so many times and it didn't work. Fuck that shit.
There was an exercise I did and you separated a page into 3 different things. So the one is what I don't want, and then the third piece is how that feels or how I show up. So do that exercise with your money, what I don't want. And it was just like very quick. Because we typically know more about what we don't want than what we want. So if you write what you don't want and then you flip it to the opposite, then you can write what you want pretty quickly.
Ooh.
And then visualize that person, how they feel, how they spend their energy around money. It doesn't take long.
So give me an example.
Okay, so don't want. I don't want to be stressed about money. I don't want to always feel like I'm paycheck to paycheck. Want. I want to feel at ease with my money. I want to feel in control. I want to feel secure and safe. And then how I show up. I take good care of my money. My money takes good care of me. I pay attention to my numbers. I can spend on things that bring me joy, but I am spending responsibly and with intention.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, and it's not about never spending.
No.
It's about like intentionality and not spending without thinking about what the impact is to that spending. And that we've talked about it before, like separating bank accounts, and that separating bank accounts. So, you have one pot of money that's for spending, and you know that that's for spending on needs, wants, whatever. Yeah. And that can really help with the intentionality, because when you reduce the pot of that money that you're spending from, it increases the thought that you're giving that spending.
Reduce the pot, increase the thought. So thank you for listening to another episode of Mind and Money. I'm Val, signing off.
And we hope you have a great day, and we can't wait to see you next time. Take care.